Tonight, before you sleep, I want to tell you about the greatest secret in the universe. It is a secret so large and so strange that when scientists first began to uncover it, they could scarcely believe it themselves. And it is this. Almost everything in the universe is invisible. When you look up at the night sky, you see the stars. And beyond them, with a telescope, you would see galaxies and clouds of glowing gas and all the shining things of the cosmos. The whole visible universe spread out in light, more magnificent than we can hold in the mind. But here is the secret. Everything you can see, everything that glows or shines or gives off any light at all, every star and every galaxy and every world, all of it together, is only a tiny sliver of what is really out there. About 5 parts in 100. The other 95 parts. The vast, overwhelming majority of the universe is something we cannot see at all, something invisible and mysterious that gives off no light, and that we do not understand. Let that settle for a moment. The universe is almost entirely made of things we cannot see and do not understand. All the glory of the visible cosmos, all the stars in all the galaxies, is just the thin, bright foam on the surface of a vast, dark ocean whose depths we are only beginning to guess at. And that dark ocean comes in 2 kinds. 2 great mysteries. 2 darknesses, quite different from one another, that together make up almost the whole of everything. The first we call dark matter, an invisible substance that we cannot see, but whose gravity holds the galaxies together and without which none of us would be here at all. And the second we call dark energy, a mysterious force, stranger still, that is pushing the entire universe apart, faster and faster, and that we understand even less. Tonight, in the quiet, we are going to explore them both. These 2 great darknesses that surround us and fill us, and make up the hidden bulk of all that is. We are going to see how we came to know they are there, even though we cannot see them. And we are going to sit gently with the wonderful and humbling truth that we live in a universe that is almost entirely a mystery. And I promise you, though it is a story about darkness and about the limits of what we know, it ends not in fear, but in a kind of quiet awe. In the strange comfort of being small, in a cosmos far vaster and stranger than we ever imagined. So settle in. Turn the lights down low. There is nothing you need to do, and nowhere you need to be. Just rest and listen, and let the story carry you off into the dark. Before we drift too far, there are 2 small things, and then I promise I will not ask anything of you again. First, if you enjoy these quiet journeys through the deep mysteries of the universe, you can subscribe, and the next one will simply find you wherever you are, whenever you next need to sleep. And second, a small invitation for while you are still awake. There is some great mystery of the cosmos that you have always quietly wondered about. What lies inside a black hole? How the universe will end? What came before the beginning? Leave yours in the comments below, and on some future night I may take it apart, gently, and carry you off to sleep on the wonder of it. And if you are listening from somewhere far away, a different country, a different time zone, a room I will never see, tell me where you are. The same invisible ocean surrounds us all, wherever we lie tonight. One last thing. If, by some small miracle, you are still awake when we reach the very end of this, leave the word unseen in the comments, so I know who made it all the way through. Though I rather doubt you will. That, after all, is the whole point. Now, let us begin with the 5%. The tiny, bright, visible sliver that is all we have ever truly seen. Let us begin with what we can see, because it is so magnificent that it is hard to believe it is only a sliver. Look up on a clear, dark night, far from any city, and the sky is scattered with stars. Thousands of them, to the naked eye. And each one a blazing sun. And beyond those, through a telescope, lie the galaxies, in their countless billions, each holding countless billions of stars of their own. It is an almost unimaginable abundance of light. All the shining things of the cosmos. The stars and the glowing clouds of gas from which stars are born, and the planets that catch and reflect their light, and everything else that gives off any glimmer at all. And all of it, all of that glorious shining abundance, adds up to about 5 parts in 100 of what the universe is made of. One small slice. Just 5%. That 5% is what we call ordinary matter. It is the stuff you are made of, and the stuff the stars are made of, and the earth, and the air, and everything you have ever touched or seen. The atoms, the familiar stuff of the world, everything that has ever been photographed, or measured, or held in a hand, is part of that thin 5%. Think about that for a moment. Everything you know. Everything humanity has ever seen in all its history, with all its eyes and all its instruments. The whole of the visible universe in all its staggering scale is a mere 20th of all there is. The other 19/20ths are dark, invisible, unknown. It is a little like living your whole life in a great house and knowing only a single room. A bright, warm, familiar room full of everything you have ever seen. And only slowly coming to realize that beyond its walls stretches a vast, dark mansion of countless rooms in near total darkness that you have never entered and can barely even perceive, and that your one bright room is only the smallest corner of the whole. That is our situation in the universe. We live in the bright 5%. And all around us, unseen, lies the vast dark remainder that we are only now, in our own age, beginning to sense the shape of. Now, how could we possibly know this? How could anyone know that most of the universe is invisible? If we cannot see it, how do we know it is there at all? The answer is one of the great detective stories of science. And it begins with a strange discovery about the way the galaxies spin. Our story begins with a puzzle about spinning galaxies. Galaxy, like our own Milky Way, is a great disk of stars slowly turning. Billions of stars wheeling around the galaxy's bright center like an enormous, majestic pinwheel turning through the dark. Now there is a rule that governs how things orbit. We see it in our own solar system. The planets close to the sun move quickly, whipping around in their tight orbits. And the planets far from the sun move slowly, dawdling along their great distant paths. The further out you go, the slower things move. This is how gravity works. It weakens with distance, so the far out things feel less pull and move more slowly. And so when scientists began to study how the galaxies spin, they expected to see the same thing. The stars near the center of a galaxy should whirl around quickly. And the stars far out at the galaxy's edge should move slowly, dawdling along, feeling only the faint, distant pull of all the mass behind them. But that is not what they found. In the 1970s, an astronomer named Vera Rubin studied the spinning of galaxies with great care, measuring how fast the stars moved at different distances from the center. And she found something that should not have been possible. The stars at the very edges of the galaxies were not moving slowly at all. They were racing, moving just as fast as the stars much closer in, whirling around at tremendous speed far out at the edge where they should have been barely crawling. And this was deeply strange, because there was not nearly enough visible matter in those galaxies to explain it. A star moving that fast, so far out, should simply fly off into space like a stone whirled too fast on a string that snaps. The gravity of all of the visible stars was not nearly strong enough to hold those racing outer stars in their orbits. Think of a merry-go-round spinning in a playground. If it spins gently, you can hold on at the edge. But if it spins faster and faster, the edge becomes harder and harder to cling to, until at last you are flung off, unable to hold on at all. It takes a great grip to stay on the fast-spinning edge. The outer stars of those galaxies were like children, clinging to the very edge of a merry-go-round spinning far too fast. By all rights, they should have been flung away. And the only thing that could hold them on was a grip far stronger than the visible galaxy could provide. A great, unseen grip of gravity, gripping them tight and keeping them from flying off into the dark. By all the rules, those galaxies should have been flying apart. The fast-moving outer stars should have been flung off, scattered into the dark, long ago. And yet, there they were, held firmly in their orbits, turning steadily, not flying apart at all. Something was holding them. Something with a great deal of gravity. Far more gravity than all the visible stars could account for. And it was not just one galaxy that behaved this way. It was galaxy after galaxy, wherever they looked. The same strange thing everywhere. Outer stars racing far too fast, held by far too little visible matter, and yet not flying apart. It was not a quirk of one place. It was a rule of the whole universe. Something was there, in and around those galaxies that we could not see. Something vast and heavy and utterly invisible. So there was a mystery. The galaxies were spinning too fast to hold themselves together, and yet they were holding together. Something unseen was gripping them. Now there were two ways to explain this, and it is worth pausing on both, because it shows how carefully science must feel its way. One possibility was that our understanding of gravity itself was somehow wrong. That out there, on the vast scale of galaxies, gravity behaved a little differently than we thought. Some scientists explored that idea, and a few still do. It is a serious thought and worth keeping in mind. But the other possibility, the one that most of the evidence came to point toward, was stranger and simpler and stranger for being simpler. That there was more matter there than we could see. A great deal more, invisible matter, matter that gave off no light, but that had gravity like all matter does, and whose gravity was holding the galaxies together. And so it was given a name. A plain and honest name for a thing we could not see. Dark matter. Not dark as in evil or sinister. Dark simply as in unseen. Dark as a room is dark, matter that does not shine and does not glow and does not catch the light, and so remains forever invisible to our eyes and to our telescopes, no matter how hard we look. We could not see it. but we could feel its pull. We could see what its gravity did to the stars and the galaxies, and from that we could tell that it was there, and roughly how much of it there was and where. Like feeling the shape of a thing in a dark room, not by seeing it, but by the way everything around it leans toward it. And when scientists added it all up, the amount of this invisible matter needed to explain the spinning galaxies, they got a shock. There was not just a little of it. There was far more dark matter than ordinary visible matter, several times more. For every part of the shining stuff we could see, there were several parts of this unseen stuff that we could not. The universe, it seemed, was mostly made of something invisible. The bright stars were floating in a vast, unseen sea of dark matter. A sea we had never known was there until the galaxies, spinning too fast, gave it away. And this dark matter, it turned out, was not just out there in distant galaxies. It was everywhere, including, right now, all around you. Here is something strange to think about as you lie there in the dark. Dark matter is not only far away, in distant galaxies. It is here, all around you, passing through you even now as you rest. For dark matter fills the whole of space, gathers most thickly around galaxies in great invisible clouds, but it is spread more thinly through everything. And our own galaxy, the Milky Way, sits within a vast halo of it, an enormous, invisible sphere of dark matter, far larger than the bright disk of stars cradling our whole galaxy within it. And we are moving through that halo all the time. Our sun and the Earth with it, sweeping through the dark matter as we orbit the galaxy. Which means that right now a faint wind of dark matter is blowing through you, through the room, through the Earth itself. But you feel nothing. And that is the ghostly thing about it. Dark matter barely interacts with ordinary matter at all. It has gravity, yes. But apart from that, it seems to slip through everything, untouched and untouching. It does not bump into the atoms of your body. It does not warm you or push you or leave any trace. It passes straight through the solid Earth as though the Earth were not there at all, and out the other side and onward into space. Think of that. A whole invisible substance streaming silently through you, through your bed, through the floor, through the rock beneath, through the entire planet, without the slightest whisper. As if you were the ghost, and it were the solid thing, and you simply drifted through one another, each unaware of the other's touch. There is something almost peaceful in it when you sit with it. This silent, invisible presence, everywhere, all the time, asking nothing, disturbing nothing. Quiet ocean of the unseen, in which we drift our whole lives and never once feel its current. We are swimming in it, always. This ghostly stuff that makes up most of the matter in the universe. It is in this room with you now. It has been passing through you your whole life and will go on passing through you gently, unfelt, forever. And you never knew, until tonight. And yet, ghostly and untouchable as it is, this dark matter has done something wonderful. Something without which you would not be here at all. It built the universe. Here is perhaps the most beautiful thing about dark matter. It's the reason there are galaxies at all. There are stars and worlds and you. Let me tell you how. In the very early universe, not long after the beginning, Everything was almost perfectly smooth. A near-uniform mist of matter spread evenly through space, with only the faintest ripples in it. Tiny unevennesses, where the mist was a little thicker here, a little thinner there. Now, for stars and galaxies to form, that matter had to gather. To clump together under gravity, pulling itself into denser and denser knots until those knots grew dense enough to ignite as stars and gather into galaxies. But there was a problem. The ordinary matter, the stuff that shines, could not have done this quickly enough on its own. For in the early universe, ordinary matter was hot and pushed about by radiation, and could not easily settle and clump. Left to itself, it would have stayed too smooth for too long. The galaxies might never have formed at all, or not in time. And this is where the dark matter came in. For dark matter does not feel that pushing. It ignores the radiation and the heat, and simply follows gravity. And so, while the ordinary matter was still too agitated to gather, the dark matter, silent and unbothered, began to clump. It gathered, under its own gravity, into a vast, invisible structure. A great cosmic web stretching across the whole universe. Long invisible filaments of dark matter meeting at great invisible knots with vast empty voids between, a scaffolding, an unseen framework spread through all of space. And then, once that invisible scaffolding was in place, the ordinary matter, cooling at last, could fall into it. Drawn by the gravity of the dark matter, the ordinary gas flowed into the invisible knots and filaments, and gathered there, and grew dense, and lit up, at last, as stars and galaxies. So the galaxies formed where the dark matter had gathered first. Strung along the invisible cosmic web like dewdrops on a spider's thread, glittering on a framework we cannot see. The visible universe hung upon an invisible one. The bright galaxies lighting up the hidden shape of the dark matter that gathered them. There is a beautiful image in that worth holding for a moment. A spider's web at dawn strung with dew. You cannot see the fine threads of the web themselves, but you can see the dewdrops glittering caught along them. And from the pattern of the drops you can trace the shape of the web that holds them, though the web itself is all but invisible. The galaxies are those dewdrops, and the cosmic web of dark matter is the thread. When we map the galaxies across the universe, we find them arranged not evenly, not at random, but in great glowing filaments and clusters, with vast dark voids between. And that pattern is the shape of the invisible web. The bright galaxies tracing out the hidden scaffolding like dew, revealing the threads that hold it. Without the dark matter, there would have been no scaffolding. And without the scaffolding, perhaps no galaxies. No stars, no worlds, no us. The invisible stuff built the visible universe and then stepped back, unseen, and let it shine. We owe our very existence to something we have never seen and do not understand. The unseen builder of everything we know. You might wonder how we can be so sure that dark matter is really there. If it is truly invisible, might we not simply be mistaken? Might there be some other explanation? It is a fair question, and a good one. And scientists have asked it hard for decades. But there is a way of, in a sense, seeing the invisible, of mapping the dark matter, even though it gives off no light. And it is one of the most elegant tricks in all of science. It relies on a strange and beautiful fact, that gravity bends light. When light from a distant galaxy travels across the universe toward us and passes near some great mass along the way, that mass bends the light, curves its path like a lens, so that the distant galaxy appears warped and smeared and stretched into arcs or even multiplied, its light bent around the mass in the middle. And here is the wonderful part. This bending happens whether the mass is visible or not. Dark matter has gravity, and so dark matter bends light, just as any mass does. So we can look out at the sky and study how the light of distant galaxies is bent and warped and curved. And from the bending, we can work out where the mass is that is doing the bending, even when we can see no visible object there at all. We can map the invisible dark matter by the way it warps the light passing through it. And astronomers have done exactly this. They have made maps of the dark matter across great swathes of the sky, tracing its ghostly shape, its clumps and filaments, not by seeing it, but by watching how it bends the light of everything behind it. Pictures of the invisible drawn by its own gravity. And there is one particular sight that convinced many doubters. A place where two great clusters of galaxies had crashed into one another long ago. And in the wreckage of that cosmic collision, something remarkable could be seen. The ordinary matter, the glowing gas, had been slowed by the crash and left behind in the middle. But the dark matter, feeling no such friction, had sailed straight through and gone on ahead. And you could see it. By the bending of light, you could see that most of the mass, most of the gravity, had separated from the visible gas and moved on ahead of it. The invisible stuff caught in the act, pulling away from the visible, as clear a fingerprint of dark matter as anyone could ask for. So we are confident it is there. We have mapped it. We have watched it move. We have felt its gravity holding the galaxies together and seen it bending the light of the sky. And yet, for all that, there is one enormous thing we still do not know about it. We do not know what it is. We know that dark matter is there. We know roughly how much and where. We know it has gravity and barely touches ordinary matter and built the cosmic web. What it actually is, what it is made of, that we do not know. It is one of the greatest unanswered questions in all science. We are fairly sure of one thing. It is not made of ordinary atoms. It is not dark planets or burnt-out stars or clouds of ordinary dust. Astronomers have checked carefully, and there simply cannot be enough of that kind of thing to account for it. Whatever dark matter is, it is something new, something not made of the familiar stuff of our world at all. The leading idea is that it is some kind of particle. Tiny, unknown particle of a kind we have never yet caught or named. Particle that has mass and so has gravity, but that hardly interacts with ordinary matter in any other way, so that vast numbers of these particles could be streaming through the universe and through us entirely unnoticed. And scientists have gone looking for them in some of the most extraordinary experiments ever built. Deep underground, far below the surface, in old mines and tunnels, shielded from all the noise of the world above, they have built great, still, silent detectors, waiting in the dark, in perfect patience, hoping that just occasionally one of these dark matter particles passing through the earth might happen to bump, ever so faintly, into the detector and leave the tiniest flicker of a sign. They have been waiting for years, deep in the dark, listening for the faintest touch of the ghost. And so far they have caught nothing certain. Not one sure knock from the vast, invisible ocean streaming silently through them all the while. It is a strange and humbling thing to know that something is there in enormous quantity, all around us and within us, and to reach for it patiently for years and to find our hands passing straight through it again and again, catching nothing. Perhaps one day we will catch it, and we will finally learn what most of the matter in the universe is made of. What an extraordinary day that will be. But for now it remains a mystery. A vast, invisible, silent mystery that we can feel and map and marvel at but cannot yet name. And remarkable as it is, dark matter is only the first of our two great darknesses. For the second is stranger still. To reach the second great mystery, we must first understand something about the universe as a whole. Something that took us by surprise a century ago. The universe is expanding. For a long time, people assumed the universe was simply there, fixed and steady and eternal. The stars in their places, the great cosmos unchanging, as it had always been and always would be. But early in the last century, astronomers made a strange discovery. When they looked at distant galaxies, they found that nearly all of them were moving away from us, rushing away in every direction. And the farther away a galaxy was, the faster it was fleeing. At first, this seems to suggest that we are at the center of some great scattering, that everything is fleeing from us in particular. But it is not so. The truth is stranger and more beautiful. It is not that the galaxies are flying apart through space. It is that space itself is expanding, stretching everywhere, all at once. And as it stretches, it carries the galaxies apart with it, like raisins in a rising loaf of bread, drifting away from one another as the dough swells between them. There is a lovely way to picture it. Imagine dots painted on the surface of a balloon. As you blow the balloon up, every dot moves away from every other dot, not because the dots are moving across the surface, but because the surface itself is stretching between them. And from every dot it looks as though all the others are fleeing. There is no center. Everything is simply growing apart, everywhere at once. Sit with that for a moment, because it is a strange and beautiful idea. The galaxies are not really rushing through space, away from some central point. They are, for the most part, sitting still. It is the space between them that is growing. New space, quietly appearing everywhere all the time, gently pushing everything farther apart. It is not an explosion, scattering things outward from a center. It is a stretching, happening everywhere at once. There is no center to the expansion, no point from which it all began. No place you could point to and say, it started there. Every point is moving away from every other point. From wherever you stand in whatever galaxy, it looks as though you are still, and all the rest of the universe is drifting away from you. And everyone, everywhere, sees exactly the same thing. That is our universe. Constantly swelling. Every galaxy drifting away from every other as the space between them stretches wider and wider with every passing moment. And this discovery led to one of the grandest ideas in all of science. For if the universe is growing now, then long ago it must have been smaller. And smaller still further back. until, if you run it back far enough, everything was gathered into a single, unimaginably dense and hot beginning from which the whole expansion began, the moment we now call the Big Bang. But this is not our mystery tonight. Our mystery is about what the expansion is doing now. And what we found when we looked closely overturned everything we expected. For most of the last century, scientists thought they knew what the expansion of the universe was doing. They thought it was slowing down. And this made perfect sense. For the universe is full of matter, and matter has gravity, and gravity pulls things together. So all the matter in the universe should be gently pulling on all the rest, trying to draw it back together and slowing the expansion down. Think of a ball thrown up into the air. Rises, but it slows as it goes, tugged back by gravity. And the question was simply how fast the universe was slowing, whether gravity would one day halt the expansion altogether and pull everything back together, or whether the universe would coast outward forever, slowing but never quite stopping. Either way, everyone was sure of one thing. The expansion must be slowing down. Gravity could do nothing else. And so in the 1990s, two teams of astronomers set out to measure exactly how much it was slowing. They studied distant exploding stars far across the universe as a way of measuring how the expansion had changed over billions of years. Careful, painstaking work to pin down the gentle slowing of the cosmos. And what they found astonished them, astonished the whole world of science. The expansion was not slowing down. It was speeding up. The universe was expanding faster and faster, not slower and slower. The galaxies were flying apart at an ever-increasing rate. As though the thrown ball, instead of slowing as it rose, had begun, impossibly, to accelerate upward, faster and faster into the sky. Made no sense. Gravity should have been slowing everything down. Instead, something was pushing everything apart and winning, overpowering the gravity of all the matter in the universe and driving the whole cosmos to expand faster and faster with every passing age. The scientists checked and checked again, scarcely able to believe it. But the answer held. The expansion of the universe was accelerating, and some mysterious force, some vast, unseen push, was driving it. They gave that mysterious force a name for something they could measure but could not explain. Dark energy. So what is this dark energy that is pushing the whole universe apart? The honest answer is that we barely know. It's, if anything, an even deeper mystery than dark matter. But there is a leading idea, and it is a strange and wonderful one. The idea is that dark energy is a property of empty space itself. We tend to think of empty space as nothing, as a void, as the absence of everything. But it may not be nothing at all. Empty space may have, woven into it, a faint energy of its own, a gentle pressure built into the very fabric of the void that pushes outward and stretches space apart. This is a very strange idea and worth pausing on. That emptiness is not truly empty. That if you took a box and removed everything from it, every particle, every speck of matter, every ray of light, until it was as empty could be, there would still be something left. A faint energy belonging to the space itself, to the nothing. It goes against all our instincts. We feel, deep down, that nothing should mean nothing. That empty space should be a blank, a stage on which things happen but nothing in itself. And yet the universe seems to be telling us otherwise, that the void has a texture. That emptiness itself carries a gentle, restless energy, too faint to notice in any small space, but vast when you add it up across the endless emptiness of the cosmos. And here is the strange and crucial thing about this. If dark energy is a property of space itself, then every piece of space has a little of it. And so as the universe expands and there is more and more space, there is more and more dark energy. Do you see what that means? The more the universe grows, the more dark energy there is. And the more dark energy there is, the harder it pushes and the faster the universe grows, which makes still more space and still more dark energy, pushing harder still. It feeds upon itself. A gentle push that grows as the universe grows, driving the expansion faster and faster without end. Space, in a sense, creating more space. The emptiness, pushing the emptiness apart and multiplying as it goes. And this dark energy, this faint pressure in the emptiness, turns out to be the largest thing in the universe. For when scientists add it all up, the dark energy, spread through all the vast emptiness of space, makes up more than 2/3 of everything. More than 2/3 of all the energy and matter in the entire cosmos is this mysterious pressure in the void that we cannot see and can barely begin to understand. So let us add up the whole strange accounting of the universe. The ordinary matter, the stuff of stars and worlds and us, is about 5 parts in 100. The dark matter, the unseen stuff that holds the galaxies together, is about 1/4. And the dark energy, this pressure in the emptiness, is all the rest. More than 2/3. The largest and the strangest and the least understood of all. The universe is mostly a force we cannot explain, woven into an emptiness we thought was nothing. And it has a curious history, this idea. For it was first dreamed up and then thrown away in embarrassment by the most famous scientist who ever lived. There is a lovely twist in the story of dark energy, and it involves Albert Einstein. Many years ago, long before anyone knew the universe was expanding, Einstein was working out his great theory of gravity. And when he applied it to the whole universe, he found something that troubled him. His equations suggested that the universe could not simply sit still, that gravity should pull it all together and make it collapse. But in those days, everyone believed the universe was static, fixed and eternal and unchanging. So Einstein added a little something to his equations, an extra term, a gentle outward push built into space itself that would exactly balance the inward pull of gravity and hold the universe still. He called it the cosmological constant, a push woven into the fabric of space to keep the cosmos from collapsing. But then, a little later, came the discovery that the universe was not static at all, that it was expanding. And so there was no need for Einstein's extra push to hold a still universe still. The universe was not still. It was growing. And Einstein, it is said, was embarrassed. He took back his extra term and cast it aside. He is reported to have called it the greatest blunder of his life, a fudge, an unnecessary addition that he wished he had never made. And there the matter rested for the better part of a century. Cosmological constant, abandoned, a footnote, a famous mistake. Until the astronomers found that the expansion was accelerating. And suddenly, science needed exactly what Einstein had thrown away. A gentle outward push built into space itself. A force woven into the emptiness, driving things apart. The very thing he had added and then discarded in shame turned out to be perhaps one of the deepest features of the universe. His greatest blunder may have been one of his greatest insights after all. He simply reached for it for the wrong reason and let it go too soon. There is a gentle lesson in that, I think. That even the greatest minds are feeling their way in the dark. That an idea thrown away as a mistake can return a century later as a truth. That we are all, even the wisest of us, only guessing at the shape of a universe far stranger than we imagine. So now we can see the whole strange shape of it. The two great darknesses and how they pull against one another. On the one side, there is dark matter, the unseen substance whose gravity draws things together. It is the great gatherer. It pulls the galaxies into being and holds them together and knits the cosmic web. Dark matter is the force of togetherness, of structure, of things coming together and holding fast. And on the other side, there is dark energy. The unseen pressure that pushes things apart. It is the great scatterer. It stretches space and drives the galaxies away from one another, faster and faster. Dark energy is the force of apartness, of expansion, of things flying outward and drifting away. Two invisible powers, one drawing together, one pushing apart. Locked in a vast, slow, silent struggle across the whole universe since the beginning of time. For a long while in the young universe, dark matter had the upper hand. When everything was closer together, its gathering pull was strong, and it built the galaxies and drew the cosmos into structure. But as the universe grew, and space stretched, and the dark energy multiplied, the balance shifted. And now, in our own age, dark energy has begun to win. The pushing apart has overtaken the drawing together, and the universe has entered a new age of accelerating expansion driven ever onward by the pressure in the emptiness. And this tells us something about the far, far future. Something vast and quiet and strange. If the dark energy keeps on winning as it seems it will, then the universe will go on expanding faster and faster forever. The distant galaxies will drift ever farther away and fade until, in the unimaginably distant future, they slip beyond our seeing entirely. And the far cosmos will grow quiet and dark and empty as everything drifts apart into the growing night. But do not let that trouble you here in the warm dark of tonight. For that is a future so unthinkably distant that it has almost no meaning for us. Trillions upon trillions of years away, longer than you can imagine, and then longer still. Our own sun and our world and everything we know will have come and gone, ages upon ages before any of that. And tonight, the universe is still young and full and bright. The two darknesses are still in their great slow balance. And the sky above you is as full of stars and galaxies and wonder as it has ever been. So let us gather it all up as the night grows deep and feel the full, staggering weight of it. Everything we can see, every star in every galaxy, every world and every living thing and every atom of everything we have ever known or touched. All of it together is about 5 parts in 100 of the universe. The rest, the other 95, is darkness. the unseen matter that we can feel but cannot catch, and the unseen energy that we can measure but cannot explain. Two great mysteries that surround us and fill us and make up almost the whole of all that is. We live in the bright 5%, the single lit room in the vast dark mansion. And all our knowledge, all our science, all the discoveries of all our brilliant minds have illuminated only that one small corner. Beyond it stretches a darkness we are only just beginning to sense. Now you might think that this would be a frightening thought. Realize how little we know. Surrounded we are by mystery. How small our island of understanding is in the great dark sea of the unknown. But I do not find it frightening at all. I find it wonderful. But think of what it means. It means that we are alive at the very moment when we have discovered how much there is still to discover. We are the first generations of humans ever to know that the universe is mostly invisible. To have glimpsed the sheer scale of the mystery, to stand at the edge of that vast dark ocean and see for the first time how deep it goes. And a mystery is not a sad thing. It is an invitation. It means the story is not over, that there are still enormous things to find, that the universe has kept most of itself hidden, waiting for minds patient and curious enough to seek it out. How dull it would be to know everything, to live in a universe with no more secrets. How much more wonderful to live in one that is almost entirely unknown, where nearly everything still lies ahead, waiting to be understood, where the greatest discoveries are not behind us, but before us, out there in the dark, waiting. Think of the great explorers of the past standing at the edge of an unmapped ocean. They did not feel despair at how much was unknown. They felt the pull of it, the thrill of the vast blank spaces on the map waiting to be filled, the knowledge that somewhere out there beyond the horizon lay wonders no one had yet seen. We stand now at the edge of a far greater ocean, the dark ocean of the 95%. And it stretches away before us, almost wholly unmapped, almost wholly unknown, the greatest unexplored territory there has ever been. And it is not across a sea or beyond the mountains. It is all around us, in the sky above, and in the room where you lie, and streaming, even now, through your own body. Somewhere, perhaps, a child alive today will grow up to be the one who finally works out what the dark matter is, or what the dark energy is, and will pull back the curtain little on that vast, hidden 95%. What a thing that will be, what a gift, still waiting in the dark. We are surrounded by mystery, and that is one of the most hopeful things I know. So let us come back now, gently, from a vast cosmos to you. I'm here, in the quiet, in the dark. Because the great mystery is not only out there, far away among the distant galaxies, is here, in this room, in your very body, right now. The dark matter is streaming through you even as you rest. That silent, invisible wind blowing gently through your room, through your bed, through you, and on through the earth beneath. You cannot feel it, but it is there. A whisper of the unseen passing through you as it has all your life. And the dark energy is at work too, all around you. In the very emptiness of this room, in the space between you and the wall, space is faintly, gently trying to expand. Held in check here by the gravity of ordinary things, but out in the great emptiness between the galaxies, that same faint pressure is pushing the whole universe apart. And a little of it is here too, in the quiet dark around you. You are swimming in the unseen. You always have been. Surrounded and filled and passed through by the two great mysteries of the cosmos every moment of your life. And you never felt a thing. There is something wonderful in that, I think. Something that makes the ordinary dark of your room feel suddenly vast and rich and full. For it is not empty at all. It is brimming with the invisible, alive with mystery. The same mystery that fills the space between the galaxies, filling the space around your bed. And it puts our small worries, I find, in a gentle sort of perspective. The troubles of the day, the things that weigh on us, set against a universe that is 95 parts mystery, that streams unseen through our very bodies, they grow quiet and small and soft, not unimportant, but held now within something far larger and stranger and more wonderful than themselves. You are a small, bright, living thing, made of the rare 5% that shines. Adrift in a vast, dark, invisible ocean that you are only just beginning to know, and that whatever else is true is a strange and beautiful place to be. So let us let the great dark rest now, as the night grows late. You do not need to remember any of it. Not the spinning galaxies, not the cosmic web, not the pressure in the emptiness, not the two great darknesses. Let all of it soften and blur and drift gently away. That was never the point. The point is only this, that the universe is mostly invisible and mostly unknown. That everything we can see is a small, bright sliver floating on a vast, dark ocean of mystery. And that this is not a frightening thing, but a wonderful one. And to a gentler truth beneath it all, that you are held right now within that mystery. That the unseen streams gently through you and fills the dark around you and surrounds you on every side, and that there is nothing to fear in it, only wonder, only the quiet, vast, patient strangeness of a universe far greater than we know. There is a deep comfort in that, I think, especially now at the close of the day. To feel yourself as one small, bright, living thing cradled within an enormous mystery that asks nothing of you and disturbs nothing and simply surrounds you gently as you fall asleep. To rest held in the great unseen. If any of this stayed with you, and you would like another quiet mystery of the cosmos gently unfolded to carry you off to sleep on another night, it is already waiting for you. You do not have to do anything at all, just subscribe quietly and let the next one find you. And now it is late, and there is nothing left for you to do tonight. No mystery to solve, no darkness to fear. The story is told, and the invisible ocean is all around you, calm and quiet, and the rain is falling softly in the dark. So let your thoughts go loose. Let the galaxies drift. Let the dark settle. Let the sound of these words become just a soft texture in the night, like the rain, like the silent, invisible current flowing gently through you and through the whole sleeping world. Breathe in gently and breathe out. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to carry into tomorrow. Just rest now in the great unseen. Rest. Good night.